What is up, AGMF fam? Welcome back. So, suspension. Nuis and bought himself some Power Max coilovers for his LS400. Now, there's a reason why he bought these. For one, I got them on my Lexus. It's bagged. They're good coilovers. But like I said in the previous video, he could only afford the coilover setup, and his car desperately needed suspension in the worstest of ways. They're pretty old, right as trash, and with all the riding in the back, caused some tire rub. But the second reason he bought those is because Power Max does sell bags to go over these to convert them to airbag suspension. So he will be doing that in the future. But I went ahead and prepped two coilovers. We're gonna leave that in there too. So this right here, driver front, driver rear. Yes, they are two different heights. Here's the old driver front and the old driver rear. I still have to prep these two, but I went ahead and did these ones off camera. Nuis went ahead and pulled the coilovers off of the car, front and rear, as far as on the driver's side. So in this video, we're going to be installing the coilovers. I'm going to be adjusting them, kind of going through what I'm doing, but not exactly really, because I don't like to give that information out because it took me a while to learn and I'm still in a learning process. So, but I will explain what I'm doing. Nuis is going to be cracking off the passenger side suspension so we can get that installed, but I'm going to get to it and hop on adjusting the coilovers and prepping them for Hawaii weather. So we're going to pull this off, basically tear everything down right now. And I'm not going to lie, like, I'm going to time lapse this. It'll be sped up, but it takes me approximately, what do you think, Keone? About 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do a coilover? One? About there? Yeah, probably about 20 to 30 minutes to do one. And that's prepping it, doing everything, making sure everything's cherry. Because for a lot of you that don't know, when you get them shipped in, you see how I can do that? I didn't touch it right now. Everything's loose. There's no, I mean, this had a little bit of preload on the spring, but there's usually like this, there's no preload on the spring. So don't go ahead and just install these like that, thinking that because I just got coilovers and I'm just gonna install them. Now it might sound like I'm being a dick on this video, but suspension is a very important thing to me, so I take suspension very, very seriously. And this is why I spend the time to learn and ask questions. And if I'm wrong, usually the older guys, which are older than me, I mean Uncle and Amina, and I'm not gonna say his name because I don't do that. He's my friend. I'm not trying to get cred just because I know him, but he'll tell me straight up, that's some bullshit, this and that. Like, he already knows what I'm installing on the camera, and he calls these Taiwanesium, which, yeah, they're Taiwanesium. They're expensive but cheap. They're not performance based, which is fine. It's not a big deal, you know. As far as a street car, to me it's not a big deal. That being said, there is some brands that, even though it isn't a race car or a track car, I won't use, and I'm not gonna say what those are. But I'm learning, always learning. Like a sponge, I always like to take information, use it, and not bunk information either. Like, you gotta give me some information that, you know, put it into some kind of mechanic wording or whatever, and explain to me. But if you just come off and, no, but I heard these are better and I read it on the forums, I'll give you the time of day, but that's as far as my effort will go. I won't tell you that you're wrong, and who knows, you might be right. But as far as what I was taught and what I learned, you know. So there is such thing as preload on the spring. The dampening adjustment, depending on what suspension you buy, it might work, might not. A lot of the better suspensions, believe it or not, only got 4 clicks, but that's specific for your ride. All the big name brands, they're not really specific, and if you if you look at professional drivers, there's a little word in there called professional drivers. Those coilovers were probably big dollars. Either they're half sponsored or not, but they're custom to what they're doing. Their stuff we cannot buy off the shelf. So, enough with that rant. As I'm doing this, I have my notepad just to keep track on everything that I'm doing, my stock height, how much I'm lowering the car, and then I go from my loose spring preload to my actual preload specs, which you guys don't get to see that. A pen, permanent marker. Anti-seize in Hawaii is your friend, because if you have installed coilovers or put coilovers on your car, and maybe not only in Hawaii, but they like to seize up after a while, and it's either you can't get them off, buy a new one, or it's a real pain in the ass to get off. So I like to put anti-seize on the thread, tape measure, and then of course the tools you need to pull the coilovers off. So with that huge rant and that being said, I'm gonna skip you guys into some time lapse and get this done. Alright, so I got the spring, the collars, the adjustment shaft off, and now I didn't need to go that far because I just got to anti-seize the thread and then screw it down and it'll take it around. But I've noticed in the more recent years that I've been more involved in doing suspension that these boots that are supposed to protect in here from getting debris, contaminants and whatnot, they don't stay. So what I do is I get some Super 33 black tape and I just put tape around it, slide this up, and then I tape it on just so that it can't fall. I mean, yes, there's a little bit of a gap up here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I don't want this to be down here or to get, smushed or anything like that. And for you guys that installed coilovers on your car, I'm pretty certain you've seen that if you went back and adjusted it, and if you pulled it down, this is all dirty with road dirt and grime, and it's just not good for the seal in here. So right back to time lapse. Just figure I'll throw that in there for you guys. I got that all taped up. It's sealed. It of course if I pull hard it'll come off, but it's for what the suspension does, it's on the nice. You can use any color you want. This is just, I use the copper color. I mean, they're pretty much all the same, just temperature difference, but I just use this one. Go figure, lucky coincidence. It kind of matches the suspension. So I used to do the whole thing, but that was a complete waste because when you screw the collars down, a whole bunch of globs get pushed out. So I just do one side, and when the thread takes it, it'll take it all the way around, which you guys will see. It'll take it all the way around and have a nice decent coating in the thread. Now, you're not supposed to glob this thing on for it to work. Like, yes, it looks like I'm globbing it on, but once it takes it all the way around, it's not going to be this thick. But you're not supposed to glob it on. It's supposed to have a little bit in there just to help you break something loose if and when it might either corrode into each other, rust weld, it just helps keep a barrier. Starting with the rubber bushing, or the plastic bushing I should say. It's actually a silencer for the spring so you don't hear cling, 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 cling around in there. see. It's a good reason to check because I don't have my notepad because my wife's using it right now. But I made the new one. I just adjusted 21.5. That's the height from strut tower to center of bolt pin for the lower control arm. The one I made is 20.5. So it's always good to double check because you don't want a car to be uneven going down the road. Alright, so this is the one we did, and this is the one I did earlier. Measured everything out, base to center pin, same height, measured the preload on the spring, those match, measure the gap in between these collars, and those are the same. So like Nuis just said, hang on, you guys a little bit dirty. What'd you say, Nuis?
The one on the left looks a little higher.
He's not wrong. It looks higher, it looks different, but numbers don't lie. This is why I checked in 3 different spots, from spring to mounting points to gap in between. Like, that's just what I do. I check 3-4 different spots to make sure they're even and all the numbers coincide even. Of course, there might be a slight difference of cunt hairs, but that's like if you want to get real technical with cunt hairs and crap like that, little spaces about thinner than a piece of paper, then we need scales. But for a street car, this is perfectly fine as far as being even and adjusted perfect to run on the road. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the last one right here, and then Nuis is gonna get the passenger side taken off, and then we're gonna install.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything. You can mold, shape, find almost anything. All it takes is some time and some clarity to find your identity. It's mind over everything. And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. 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 Don't be scared. Just give me up. Don't be scared.
Alright, so you just see me put the front coilover on the passenger side. We already put the front driver on the rim. So I'm pretty certain it's gonna come down like half an inch at least. I'm not too certain until we put it on the ground, but that's pretty much right height right there. Mind you, it does have a tiny tire on the front because this tire setup wasn't meant for this car. But we're gonna go ahead and put the right rear strut on and keep putting these things on so we can get this thing planted on the ground. Well, maybe not planted, but a little bit lower to the earth. Maybe everybody's feelings get hurt. We'll see.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life.
Right rear in there.
Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took the red pill. I know life's short, so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel?
NANI? You got the e-brake on? Good job, man. Oops! Someone forgot to put the e-brake on his car. So she decided to roll forward just a little bit until she got on the parking pole. But she's pretty slammed in the front. So like I said earlier, this tire fitment was for his old Hyundai Genesis. So we had to put skinnier tires up front for the size rim that we put on, so that could clear the fender and nothing would rub. And then meats in the back, and we adjusted the suspension so the car would sit even like that, no problem. But he has to buy new tires for the front that fits this car, so he said he's gonna buy 4 new tires, fronts and rears. And then we're gonna readjust the rears after, once we get the proper tire size on, which is a good idea. So right now she can run a little bit face down, ass up, but that's okay. But oh boy, I do like that front sitting like that. We're gonna go over to Keone's house because he needs a little bit of help, and then we're gonna take a little bit of beauty. So I don't know where. I'm gonna try to find light. We're gonna be driving Lola. And what's your car's name?
Delilah.
We're gonna drive Lola and Delilah. And believe it or not, they're the same exact car, same year, same color, everything. So this is cool because I don't get to cruise with much UCF10s because everybody has UCF20s and above. But this is cool, he has a UCF10. So UCF10 squad. So we're gonna clean up and then hit the road. So that's gonna end this video. We installed coilovers on Nuis' car. Delilah, she lie. And then we went for a little bit of cruise and take some videos and pictures of her sitting over there. We brought along Giselle with that one guy named Keone, and then of course got to bring Lola. But that's where this video is gonna end. I would do rollers, but it's nighttime. There's only 3 of us, and I only have 1 camera. And it's dark. Come on, let's not lie. This isn't the other side of the island where there might be some places to get lit up, but we do what we can, what we got on this side. But this car is done as far as suspension for now. He's gonna get new tires. We're gonna readjust the coilovers, and then eventually he's gonna get back. So she will return on the channel at some point in time once she gets some money together. But she looks pretty not bad actually. I'm not gonna lie, for stock body she look real good. Yeah, she looks pretty good for stock body. I don't know what it is about a stock body. I guess it's just because I drive around with a Junction Produce kitted LS400 with Shell Sure badges. But here they are, Lola, Delilah, and Giselle. It's probably dark over here, so I'll move back in. But yeah, she's pretty fitted. So, I mean, not very slam, but Nuis not really too much about that slam life. And we can't go any lower in the back. As you can see, when we had the dead suspension, the inner body kind of had its way with the fender. It's still up and in there. We're gonna go ahead and roll that eventually. But yeah, that's gonna be it for now. After this car, oh boy, I got some brand new content coming real quick that I'm hoping you guys are gonna be interested to see. It's gonna be a build that I've been wanting to build for a very long time, and finally the puzzles kind of came together. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So you know the drill. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Leave a dislike if you want to. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.